Welcome back, Nick Lenz. Now review episode 70. This I'm reviewing Star Trek: The Next Generation. The Genesis Way, Book 1. This is the first of a 4-book series. This one, of course, is written by John Barat. Yeah, he's the one who writes this one. Listen to the audiobook. This is narrated by Tim Russ. Yes, the guy who played Tuvok on Star Trek Voyager. Yes. Also, forgot to mention this in my last hour review. The audiobook basically includes something I love the fact it included this. You actually hear the classic sound effects from the actual Next Generation TV show. You hear stuff like the transportation, the teleporter beam when the people teleport, the sound people when they're tapping buttons. You get to hear that in here, along with a little chirp whenever you see a communication, or even the sliding doors. Yes, all those classic sound effects are here. The other thing I don't have in here is the walking sounds. Yes. I get they don't have that for the Enterprise, but they didn't specifically have it for like the Klingon ship for some reason, because the whole ship basically comes with metal. Yep. But in the case of this book takes place in the year 2376. And also, from what I can tell, basically based on the dialogue and how a couple characters interacted, this is after the events of Insurrection. Yep, because in the book, Deanna Troi and Riker are a couple in here. Yeah, so this is definitely after Insurrection, but definitely before Nemesis, at least about 3 years before Nemesis. Now, at the start of the story, we see Carol Marcus, yes, making her first physical appearance in the series in a while. I mean, chronologically, the last thing anybody probably saw her was in the film Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. But she's not the only person from the movies that returns in this particular book. I will get to him in a minute. Yep. Story starts off 6 months prior to the main story itself, where you have Carol Marcus on the planet Pacifica. Yeah, apparently she was sent here for some reason. It's revealed exactly what the reason is later on in the novel, and it's an absolute somewhat stupid reason, because no one's ever heard of basically the reasoning for this. Is that you have Starfleet guards here, she basically whatever they want, and she's basically kind of kept in exile because of something she did like 90 years, at least about a century before. So, we have it where she is basically just doing some gardening, talking about basically her age, because she's 135 years old. Basically, yeah, I'm telling myself, I'm going to take a nap now. I'm like, okay, go right ahead. She's eating a while, and then she sees that, thinks she sees her late son, David, who was killed 100 years prior by the Klingons. Yes, that'll come into effect later. And think, like, it is him, and this kind of is explained in their book. I will get to that in the next episode when I get a chance to read and listen to it. Yeah, thanks to David, and she leaves. Oh yeah, and she goes outside, and apparently all the guards are unconscious. As for how the heck this happened, no idea. And then we cut to another planet. And we hear Dr. Leia Brahms. Yes, making her first appearance in the franchise since, well, the episode Galaxy's Child. Yeah, where she's basically on this planet doing like normal scientist stuff, basically the special rays suit, phase shifting anywhere, and she got this technology from the freaking Romulans. Yeah, I'll explain later. Doing experiment, and then something very weird happens to the planet. Like, it's affected by something. And yeah, her and her tailor are the only ones to basically survive what this is. Oh yeah. I'm gonna explain right now what the heck happened here. Yeah, there was something that swept across the planet and changed everything, and killing her husband and her colleagues. What the heck happened here? The Genesis Wave happened. Yes, somehow the Genesis Wave has been activated, and now it's sweeping across space, changing planets basically like crazy. Yep, and then we have her basically escape with a Tellarite, mind you, on a damaged sort of craft. Well, it still has warp capability, but the communications are damaged. They don't have it for quite a while. And then they arrive at this planet, trying to warn people, and apparently no listen to him. And of course, we cut to a Klingon named Motes. Now I'm thinking, though, why is this guy? And apparently he knows what they're talking about when they mention this later. Who this guy is, I'm going to reveal right now who he is. This guy is from Star Trek 3, The Wrath of Khan. Played by John... I don't remember his last name. Larizawa, I think his name is. Yeah, he's from Star Trek 3. He was the subordinate to Christopher Lloyd's character, Commander Cruz. And he was by far the only Klingon to survive being killed by Kirk's crew. Yeah, surprisingly, he is the only one to survive the thing. I have to look up basically what's the site basically you can use. Which is coming up here. But yeah, it's surprising. Oh yeah, apparently since that movie, he's basically become not dishonored per se. He basically lost all our respect, and now he's an ambassador. Well, at least a diplomat. And he works with somebody who's actually a spy for the frickin' Romulans. He also gets into a fight, and everybody's like quite happy to basically. Now these tourists are he's basically so itching for a fight that he basically starts a fight just because he feels like it. And apparently the tourists are so happy to get into a fight with a freaking Klingon. Yeah. Let's see if I can find her here. Find him here, let's see. John Larroquette. That's his name. John Larroquette. Yeah, he's the one who actually played Maltz in the Star Trek 3. He also did appear in our comic book, testifying at Kirk's trial, but this is by far his first appearance since then. He's basically an aged Klingon. And then he's taken to a jail cell, and he talks to Dr. Brahms briefly. And the novel he even points this out, though. Yeah, despite that he can take away his knife away, his sash is full of all goodies. So he makes a mirror to reflect the out of his frickin' cell, which basically is a force field. And he gets out. He basically convinces his assistant, who is a spy for the Romulans, also shoots him in the frickin' leg. And he steals the shuttlecraft. And they sort of combine ships with, apparently the ship does not have warp capability. So he jumps over Dr. Brahms, like, okay, I'll bring you aboard, but I'm the captain. He's like, okay. And of course they get away, and they try to get to their planet, but they couldn't exactly piece of time. And of course, Geordi is basically also Data is trying to get Geordi into a relationship with some woman he meets on the ship, and like he still thinks with Dr. Brahms. Yes, Dr. Leah Brahms. He messes for her, and he loses contact with her, and of course he gets worried with Cat. He mentions to Captain Picard, which he is curious about this because Dr. Brahms is a highly respected scientist. Losing contact with her is terrible, so he basically sent to the Enterprise to go find her, and they eventually do find her. They take out shuttlecrafts, and of course all this stuff going on. Like the Enterprise ordered to rendezvous with Amalachea's ship because they sent raw data to her. Yep, on the Sovereign, and Geordi's like, okay, like, how about basically I take a shuttlecraft and look for this other shuttlecraft, and you can go meet with Dr. Brahms. It's like, go. Sure, go ahead. And he's like, go. He gives go ahead. He finds him pretty quickly. He basically works with Data. Yeah, Data and him basically find him pretty quickly, beam on board before, well, the shuttlecraft was pretty much destroyed anyways. He also had to avoid pursuers, who were basically not part of the Federation. And then they go back to the ship, of course, and she's like in arms of Angel, basically, Geordi. And of course, Data is there, and of course, Maltzor tells Picard who he is, and he says, mention your admiral, the word Genesis. He's probably like, Genesis, what is that? He's probably thinking that, and he mentioned, and Nechayev comes aboard the Enterprise. I got handed John Vorat basically for not making Nechayev out to be like the way she's depicted on the series, as very arrogant, very presumptuous, and not a very likable character. In the book, she's much more likable. Thank God, basically made her wrote her a lot better, because apparently the writers of the show couldn't bother to give her good dialogue. So they talk for a while. He mentions the word Genesis, and she brings out an isolated ship, basically detailing everything about the Genesis project. And we get sort of a debrief, basically, from Carol Marcus, who disappeared 6 months prior. That's what 6 months comes in. And apparently she made this recording after the events of Star Trek 3, and they mentioned apparently Star Trek 2 took place over the course of about a month. Yeah, a month. Basically recapping the whole film, mentioning what happened with the stuff that happened in Star Trek 3. He says, oh yeah, theories is to use it. And basically people sort of discounted her theory due to the fact she made that theory in a moment of grief because she lost her son to Genesis. Of course, I mentioned protomatter was used in the Matrix, which was quite stupid anyways. And still investigating what the heck's behind this. And of course, mentioned the face shifting stuff, and we have duplicate technology. And Maltz is basically brought on board. He does stuff. He also briefly takes commands of a ship, and takes Dr. Brahms with him. Geordi takes Dr. Brahms and this other woman who's got interest in him. At one point, she kisses him on the lips. And of course, it stays briefly on the yeah, and then of course they have the Genesis they come to the planet. Apparently, this is also the home planet of the Bolians. Yes, the Bolians. Well, at least a spiritual home for them. Oh yeah, and the barber from Enterprise D. Those remember Mr. Waltz, I think his name is, the guy who cut Captain Picard's hair, who also briefly showed up in an episode where Riker was taken a dimension and experimented. By the way, those aliens did show up in a later Titan novel. Yeah, Mr. Mott. Yeah, Mr. Mott's his name. He's the barber on board the Enterprise, and apparently he's Captain Picard's personal barber, and he's the head Bolian on board the ship. Like, okay, imagine all think about the structures. And of course, they had this sort of weird thing happen here before the Genesis wave hits. That Deanna Troi is worried about Riker and Geordi, and she basically goes down, and of course, they beam her up, and it's actually just a child. So, actually, it's not Geordi, Riker, it's Riker and Data goes down to the surface. And eventually, they do find her. And apparently, somebody put, like, poison in this juice. Yeah, from what the scene basically just, like, reminds me of a real-life incident that happened back in the mid-'80s. The Jonestown Massacre. Yes. This particular scene, I'm not sure if John Vaught took inspiration for that particular incident that happened, that particular massacre that happened back in the 80s, but why the heck would he take from they mentioned, okay, juice that's got poison, and there's mass suicide. Does that sound familiar to you? Yeah, the Jonestown Massacre. Yes. That happened in South America. I only know about this because I've watched various documentaries. That's why I know about this thing. Yep. And eventually, like, the child, of course, who has Deanna Troi's communicator, saved, and of course, everybody gets off the surface. They get away, and of course, Nechaev's also injured, though she gets to the surface perfectly fine. We still don't know who the heck is behind it. Of course, these people also pose as Kirk. Now, this is not the actual Kirk. They think he's dead, but he's actually not. He's actually in the frickin' Nexus. Yeah, but here's the thing. Shatner's novels do not coincide with what goes on in the regular pocketbooks for Star Trek. Yeah, their own separate universe, what they are. And Dr. Marcus is like, yeah, I know she's dead. That's not Kirk. And him referred to her as his love. Now, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, Kirk never referred to her as that. Yes, I don't know why that he wrote her like that. This fake Kirk was written this way. Yeah, they don't explain who these people are into the very next book. The book ends with a cliffhanger. This is by far a really good book, good setup. This will also make a great episode, at least a great multi-episode arc for Next Generation. Yeah, it definitely would have. Yeah, but great book. Get this book a 9 out of 10. Really fantastic book, okay? So, that's it for this particular review. I don't think I actually missed anything for this one. No, not really. Oh, I almost forgot. There's stuff with the Ramblins in here. Yeah, they mentioned about the Praetor. Tomalak is in here. Yeah, those who don't know who the heck this guy is. This guy popped up a few times in the Next Generation. He's played by, believe it or not, the one-armed man from the movie The Fugitive. Yes. That's not a joke. Tomalak was played by this guy. And apparently this guy was supposed to be used for redemption, but I heard it was also, I think it was the reason why he wasn't able to reprise for redemption, that two-parted in season 4 and season 5. There was a few reasons for this. Money, time, and I think there's some schedule conflicts basically, and there was also some contract stuff that prevented him coming back. That's why I brought back That's why I brought back Daniel Crosby to play, excuse me, Lieutenant Yar's daughter from an alternate timeline. Yep. Yeah. And apparently he's basically the first consul. He's not the Praetor per se. He's the first consul, which currently, by another book I've read, I think this was like right. I think it was by the time of the first Titan book. Yeah, he's still he's still in the same position. Yep, he still is. Yep. But the Romulan stuff is basically a subplot in here. But it's interesting, basically, how they do it. And I appreciate, though, they actually have the Romulan commander actually have decency to put on his dress uniform, because he knows the Praetor is going to be on board the ship, so he's at least got to look his best and bring some of his aides with him. At least he got standard protocol. I don't know if this is the case if Federation President comes aboard a starship, a Federation starship. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably the case somewhere, but okay. So yeah, that's it for this particular view. I have roughly about 5 more videos left. Next video I'm going to do is a comic card. It'll be the first of 3 today. Yep. Anti Superman trades. Yep, find out what they are in my next video, okay? But to this next video. Bye.